Viceroy Gunray captured. Senator Padme Amidala has scored a victory against the Separatist Alliance on the remote world of Rhodia, securing the arrest of diabolical Confederate leader Newt Gunray. The Jedi Council has dispatched Master Luminara Unduli and Anakin Skywalker's Padawan Ahsoka to escort the Viceroy to Coruscant under heavy guard. Once there, he will face trial for his many war crimes.
Oh, greetings, Bucketheads. Mavar Tigar? Welcome to the 34th Master Luminara illuminating episode. Nargai Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. Remember, the best way to reach out to us is via social media. We are at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram, and we now have a Gmail account. MandoVisionTom@gmail.com for all the vindictives you want to send my way. Please make sure you are liking, subscribing, and sharing the show with all the other Mandalorians in your covert. We also recommend sharing it to friends, family, loved ones, enemies, and people you're in blood feuds with. That's always fun. So send it on over to everybody you know and have ever had contact with. If possible or so inclined, and you're on Apple Podcast, please give us those sweet, sweet, sweet 5-star reviews. They help independent shows like us not get lost in the shuffle. There's a lot of great Star Wars content out there, and we want to make sure that as many ears are checking us out as possible, and those 5-star reviews are the best way to help us do that. So thank you in advance. Remember, we are part of the 3BZine network of podcasts. Head over to 3BZine.com. You'll find links to all the shows on the network. Beer Night in San Diego, our pop culture-centric podcast, the Tomcast Popcast, mostly Marvel-centric at the moment, but hey, that's good stuff. And then this fine Star Wars show that you're listening to right now, Mando Vision. We also have a store envy page if there's any merchandise you might be interested in checking out. All right, thanks for all that. I'm glad you listened to all the intro stuff right there. Perfect. Got that taken care of. So before we dive into this episode, I wanted to let you know, and now as you have listen, I record these episodes in advance, so when you listen to this, you'll know it. You may know it already. Mandovision is shifting to 2 episodes per week, starting next week, which is the tail end of February, the beginning of March, right around there. I don't know the exact dates. I know February is the shortest month, and there's like 4 days left. So that's all I know at this point on the day that I record this episode. But yeah, we're gonna ramp it up, and I've been talking about this for a little while. But it's officially gonna happen because yesterday it was made official. It was announced the air date for Star Wars: The Bad Batch, and they're dropping that first episode on May 4th, aka May the 4th be with you. A big day for Star Wars fans across the world. And part of me had suspected that might be the case. But I kept doling out the episodes one at a time because I was like, well, maybe they'll wait till summer. Who knows what's going on? Well, now that it's May the 4th, we got to step up our game. And so I will now deliver what I've been promising for a few weeks. And there will be multiple episodes per week. And that's not even including if we have to do some Bantha Tracks episodes for Star Wars news. So get ready. A lot of Mandovision coming your way. And I hope I thank you all for checking them out and downloading and supporting the show as always. All right, so let's get into this week. We're here for Season 1, Episode 9. All right, but before we get into it, there's something we got to do first. Time to strap on your buckets. Let's go.
Senate Commandos? How does a money-grubbing worm like Gunray rate all this security? He doesn't look that dangerous.
Don't let your overconfidence give Gunray another advantage, Ahsoka. Even now, his allies may be conspiring against us.
All right, now that our buckets are firmly in place, let's talk about it. Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness, aired December 5th, 2008. The plot of this episode: Ahsoka and Master Luminara escort the captured Newt Gunray to trial, unaware that Count Dooku has dispatched his deadly apprentice, Asajj Ventress, to free the prisoner and eliminate the Jedi. Pretty basic stuff. Good. You read that plot, and I think you get excited for this episode. And, at least I know I did. This episode, directed by Dave Filoni, the one, the only Dave Filoni. And Interestingly enough, written by Paul Dini. Who is Paul Dini, you might ask? Paul Dini is most famously known for writing many of the best episodes of Batman the Animated Series back in the 90s. And then Paul came on board and wrote a bunch of amazing Batman comics for DC in like the early 2000s. So again, I forgot that Paul Dini had written a handful of maybe Star Wars episodes. At least I think it's a handful now that I started thinking about it. But it was great to see his name flash up here in the credits because I do generally enjoy the work of Mr. Paul Dini, and that was exciting. Now, again, that's not to say this episode will not be without a few hiccups here and there. But Paul Dini, a master craftsman when it comes to animated episodes. He knows how to work in that 22-minute window and get a lot accomplished in that time frame. So, seeing his name up there was like that's exciting stuff because that is a man who has gotten a lot of work done in 22 minutes for storytelling purposes. Really, really good stuff. Let's talk about our cast this episode. Now, I mean, Matt Lynch is barely in it, but he's on my cast list. You have Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka, Olivia Diabo as Luminara Unduli, Tom Kenny as Newt Gunray, Nika Futterman returns as Asajj Ventress, James Marsters, yes right, Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer plays Captain Argaius, D. Bradley Baker is the Clone Troopers and Commander Gree, Corey Burton as Count Dooku / the Senate Guard, Ian Abercrombie as Darth Sidious, and of course, Tom Kane as our narrator and Master Yoda. Pretty good cast there, I think. So yeah, oh, hold on. I almost did it again. Our Jedi fortune cookie this episode. Ignore your instincts at your peril. That's a pretty good one. And as the episode plays out, I think we know exactly what that is, particularly relating to Ahsoka and her desire to aid Master Luminara in her battle against Asajj Ventress. We will talk about it. Before we kind of, you know what, let's hold on. Let's get into the first thing. Like we said, Master Luminara Unduli, great to see her in the animated series. I have to say, she's a character that I really, she had like this weird visual energy about her that I always dug. Like the brief times we'd see her, and I think Attack of the Clones was the first time we saw her, and she would appear in the Dark Horse comics a couple different times as well. And she sort of has like, I'm gonna say something, and I don't mean it to sound weird, but it probably will. She sort of has like this like Jedi nun thing going on with like the whole head to toe thing and like the little bit of a headdress going on. And so she's like the prim and proper Jedi to me, but she had this fierceness about her, this confidence in her abilities and in trusting the will of the Force that I always really liked about her. And I don't remember the name of the novel at the moment. I probably should have double checked what it was, but there was a really great, well, great's maybe a strong word, but there was a really interesting novel set in between episodes 1 and episodes 2, between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, that focused on Obi-Wan and Anakin early in their relationship as Master and Padawan, and they teamed up with Luminara Unduli and her Padawan, Barriss Offee, who we will see later in this animated series. Ooh, okay, all right. The name of the book, The Approaching Storm. It's by Alan Dean Foster, who famously wrote Splinter of a Mind's Eye, the first of the Star Wars books to come out after the 1977 A New Hope came out. So yeah, The Approaching Storm, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Master Luminara, and Barriss Offee. Solid. I remember it being a solid book. It came out in like 2002 or 2003, so my memories on it might be a tad fuzzy. But so because of that book and seeing her on the old Gennady Tartakovsky animated series, I've always liked the look of Luminara and her instincts when it comes to trusting the Force and following the will of the Force. So seeing her brought to life here was really fun. We got a brief cameo of her in one of the earlier episodes this season, but just via hologram. And so to see a full episode with her was pretty cool. So Luminara and Ahsoka are escorting Newt Gunray back to Coruscant for trial. We get some Senate commandos, and listen, I'm not gonna lie. If you can't tell that Argaius is gonna betray them at some point, I mean, look at his hair. Look at his hair. He is a core world snob of the highest order and can clearly be bought. Clearly be bought. He looks like a man with no ethics. Which, this is funny because right before this, we see Gunray attempting to bribe Commander Gree. And you know, obviously clones are a bit more dedicated to the cause than some Senate commando, you know. And Gree, not Gree, but Argaius does talk about his motives later on for the eventual betrayal that will come. And then, you know, whatever. A life of servitude is not for him because he's that kind of a rich snooty snoot, or just a snotty guy in general. Now he wants to be rich so that he can potentially earn the status that he believes he deserves. Whatever. It's an interesting contrast to the clones. You know, there's sort of unwavering loyalty and belief in the cause and in the Republic, and in their mission. So something that's pretty interesting to see expanded upon by. Jeez Louise. I'm stumbling a little bit because I want to talk about Commander Gree. So let's just talk about Commander Gree right now. Commander Gree, we had the leader of Green Squadron. Green Squad. You may recognize Commander Gree and some of the members of Green Squadron. I will have to spoil the fate of Commander Gree for you right now because Commander Gree is on Kashyyyk in Revenge of the Sith. He attempts to kill Yoda, the Great Master Yoda, after Order 66 the order for Order 66 has been given. Remember how that scene goes? Execute Order 66. Yeah. So after that happens, Gree is one of the clones who attempts to kill Master Yoda on Kashyyyk and gets decapitated for his efforts. So remember that's one of those fun things that happens in Star Wars, and you know, we kind of going through Clone Wars. You know, we're going to see a lot of we see a lot of the clones that we see in the movies. Like Commander Cody, obviously, is one of the more famous ones because he's often with Obi-Wan Kenobi. But Gree is in this as well, and we'll see more clones of that nature who we may not have known it at the time, but they were in the films, and they had names, and they had they had assignments and things like that. And you know, as we know, many of them followed Order 66 to the letter and turned on their Jedi generals. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk more about that later. I just thought it was interesting and really fun to see Gree at this point in the show. I'm going to play right now the very next clip from what we opened with. This is Darth Sidious and Darth Tyrannus discussing what must happen. I enjoyed this bit of dialogue, so I thought I'd play it for you now. Here we go.
Gunray's capture could be a serious threat to us, my friend. The Viceroy will not last long under Jedi interrogation.
I have already put a plan into action, my lord. My best agent, Asajj Ventress, will infiltrate the Jedi ship and either free Gunray or silence him.
Ventress, you are putting a great deal of faith in an operative who has failed us in the past.
She is a gifted assassin. You have my word. She will complete her mission to the letter.
Very well. You may proceed.
All right, I'm gonna let the bit go a little bit longer here because I like it as Ventress now enters the chamber.
Master.
There is no margin for error this time, child. You must prove yourself worthy of being my apprentice.
I am worthy, as you shall see.
All right, there we go. That's kind of our setup here for the villainy, the Cloak of Darkness, as it were. And I should have come out and said it at the top, but I really like this episode of the Clone Wars. This might be my favorite one so far. Just great action. You feel the threat of the Separatists and of the dark side in particular in this episode. You know, the level of betrayal, of corruption, you see that on the side of the Republic here with the betrayal of Argaius. The fact that the Senate guards, Senate commandos can be bribed and swayed to the Separatist side, just for money and nothing else. And you know, you definitely get that. I mean, the title alone gives it, the Cloak of Darkness, enveloping the light side of the Force. And this is an episode that really does that. And we see for the first time the I don't know if I want to use the word greatness, but the awesomeness of the Ventress character, of how she's able to infiltrate this Republic ship and move about the ship and be like the operative that she was kind of billed to be, but we didn't get to see in that first episode when she squared off against Yoda, because I mean it's Yoda. What are you gonna do against Yoda? She had no chance. But in this, much more even footing for her as far as skill sets versus Luminara and Ahsoka. And great lightsaber battles in this episode. It's really fun. And again, this is one of the first episodes that really kind of shows how the dark side is swaying this battle, how it is hindering and obscuring the Jedi in their missions to keep the light burning in the galaxy. It's just an incredibly strong episode, and this one was a lot of fun to watch. Like I said, even though like the betrayal of Argaius is not shocking when it happens, it was still a lot of fun and a really, really solid episode. I think you all agree with me. So what happens next is we get what Sidious alluded to, the Jedi interrogation techniques of Luminara asking questions and sort of force probing a new Gunray as she asks the questions. Now, as far as film references go, we saw a more aggressive form of this in The Force Awakens when Kylo was attempting to get the map information from Poe Dameron. Obviously, Luminara's technique is much more light side friendly, and it's interesting to see how that kind of plays out. I like the way that she's very subtle with her probing and her questions and detecting the lies that New Gunray is throwing out there. The interesting part is what comes next, which is the sort of brash reaction of Ahsoka as she decides it's time to play good cop, bad cop, which seems to make a fair amount of sense considering she is Anakin Skywalker's student. But Ahsoka is quite presumptuous in assuming that Master Luminara plays by the same set of rules that Anakin does, who, let's be honest, Anakin is very fast and loose with the rules of the Jedi Order in order to achieve his goals and his missions. Luminara, a much more reflective Jedi, a much more by-the-book Jedi than Anakin. So Ahsoka's presumptuousness gets her into a fair amount of trouble, I suppose, with Luminara, who I think views her as very immature at this point for, taking a lightsaber blade and holding it to Gunray's throat. Despite the fact that it did work, and that Newt Gunray did decide, because he's a coward, did decide that, yeah, okay, maybe we can have a bit of a negotiation here. But it doesn't stop Luminara from chastising Ahsoka for her actions. It's at this point that the Separatist forces arrive. Battle ensues with the boarding ships docking violently into the cruiser, leading to a great battle with the clone troopers who are attempting to stop the super battle droids and their infiltration of the ship. But it's a distraction. It's a diversion to allow Ventress to slip into the battle cruiser, the Republic cruiser, and achieve her mission and begin her mission by setting bombs and dancing around a mechanic droid. By the way, we should talk about the mechanic droid a little bit. They're obviously, you recognize the droid. We've seen this droid, his type before. But what's interesting about the droid, and it's a treadwheel droid, by the way. They call him 327. 327, as you may know, has come up a lot in Star Wars over the years, and it's kind of this weird conspicuous number that just kind of shows up a lot. In Episode 4, that was the Millennium Falcon hangar bay that was docked in on the Death Star. That's the landing platform in Cloud City, 327. And in the Phantom Menace, the Naboo starship is identified as a Nubian J-type 327. So another conspicuous mention of the number 327 in Star Wars. So I thought that was interesting. And again, I like the way that Ventress sort of danced around the droid as she was planting the bombs. Her very lithe body type. And I think they talk more about why. I think we'll get more into why she can move in that fashion later on. We'll talk more about Ventress's origins later on. I mean, that's coming up down the road. In this episode, I do think it's worth mentioning that Ahsoka is fairly cocky / arrogant, and part of me wonders if that's more to do with Anakin, her the influence that Anakin has had on her at this point in her training. But again, it sort of is contrasted with Luminara's by the book methodology, which is pretty interesting. So Ventress makes her way and is able to dispatch the Senate guards that are protecting Gunray. She's able to free him. Then you get Ventress versus Ahsoka, which leads to Ventress versus Ahsoka and Luminara. And then you get Ventress activating the bombs, which completely cripple the Republic cruiser. I'm going to go back just a second here because I want to play the clip from when Ventress arrives in the prison, in the detention level, to retrieve Gunray, and she squares off against Ahsoka initially. Here we go. Here she's dispatching the Senate commandos.
If it isn't the hairless harpy.
If it isn't Skywalker's filthy, obnoxious little pet.
How nice of you. Tell you what, I'll give you a merciful death.
The Padawan.
Come on.
Shoot her!
Ventress is a badass at this point.
Skywalker's not here to save you now.
Good thing I don't need saving.
Good combat moves here. This is a fun fight.
Open this door and I'll buy you a planet.
All right, we'll pause it there. It's a really great exchange, really great lightsaber battle, and this is an episode full of them, full of these great battles. You see Ahsoka again, brash, arrogant, willing to very ready, willing, and able to kill Ventress, but does not quite have the requisite skill set to beat her in single combat just yet. So as she blows the bombs that she planted on the ship, crippling the Republic cruiser, she leaves Gunray back in Republic hands. But as we find out, the soon-to-be official betrayal by Argaius, it's part of the plan. It is part of the plan as she's luring the Jedi away from Gunray, leaving him in Argaius's hands. And we get a great battle, really fun battle between Ventress and Luminara, and again, Luminara not prepared for the sort of savageness of Ventress, and it's interesting, like during the dialogue during the battle, where Luminara is sort of verbally attacking Ventress for having a sloppy, undisciplined style that she recognizes as Count Dooku's style, and while it is perhaps sloppy and unfocused, the sheer savageness of it and Ventress's unrelenting pursuit to be victorious and to defeat the Jedi is something that, despite all of her years of training, Luminara Unduli cannot compete with, and it puts her at a complete disadvantage. As Ventress, I mean, pretty squarely routs her in this battle, and uses the dark side to pin her down, to put her in a position where defeat is imminent, and that's the next clip I want to play. There's a lot of music in this one, but bear with me on this because I do like the dialogue exchange that happens after it. So Ventress approaching a pinned down Luminara and getting ready to deliver the death blow.
Now you fall, as all Jedi must.
Ahsoka arrives on the scene. Force throws Ventress, and then frees Luminara from being pinned down.
I know. You told me to stay.
Well, as long as you're here.
All right, so then we get another battle between the two of them. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. I really dig this battle. It's so fun. Such a fun one. I do need to back up just a little bit because I did forget the scene. I did forget the scene where Ahsoka sort of struggled with disobeying Master Luminara's orders to stay with Newt Gunray and to stay with the clones and the Senate Commandos. I did like that, and I also like it is fun to look back at sort of like the way that Argaius kind of prods her into trusting herself to serve his purposes. Now I'll play one more exchange of dialogue between Luminara and Ahsoka after Ventress makes her way, after she escapes the battle again and begins to make her way to the exit strategy.
Ahsoka,
What happened to Padawan Tano?
this assassin, I've never faced an adversary like her. I should have listened to your advice.
Master, I never meant to overstep my bounds,
General
but...
Unduli, we've been betrayed. Argaius has freed Gunray.
I've been a fool.
Let's get back there.
Alright, so now our heroes are on the same page. Ventress lurking in the shadows with her Cloak of Darkness on, as she does. Man, like I said, this is such an enjoyable episode. I really hope that you all are having as much fun watching this one as I did, because it's a real blast. Something I couldn't help but wonder about as well, and I've been trying to find some detailed information about where things stand in the new canon, but all these lightsaber battles here, and again, this era of Star Wars, Jedis basically have two lightsabers, with the exception of Mace Windu has his purple. We have the blue and we have the green. Ahsoka and Luminara both have green lightsabers. They're going up against Ventress's two red lightsaber blades. And I couldn't help but wonder, I couldn't help but think back to the old canon, to the old lore of Star Wars The Old Republic, when that game gave us a reason, gave us meaning for the color of each Jedi's blade, like what it meant, how the blue blades indicated a Jedi Guardian who used the Force in a more physical way. And the green indicated the Jedi Consular, who they were the Jedi who preferred to reflect on the mysteries of the Force and to fight the dark side at its heart, as the game chronicled for us. I think all that's out the window at this point. I don't think anyone in the new canon has stated that the color of the blade determines anything about what kind of Jedi you are. We see it later in the show when they go to select Kyber crystals and sort of how the crystals choose the Jedi, and that's kind of sort of how they all end up with the blades that they end up with, which is definitely a neat thing too. But I remember playing Knights of the Old Republic and just thinking that was such a fascinating way to have it be that your blade reflected the kind of Jedi that you were. Well, I always thought that was really interesting. But I also do really dig what is in the new canon as far as the crystal chooses the Jedi. So after that clip we just played, we engage in a battle with Ventress against Ahsoka and Luminara teamed up, more on even footing this time around. And again, you see that savageness of Ventress. You see that unrelentingness and the sinister cackle she unleashes at Luminara and at Ahsoka is, rather terrifying. But it leads into, we transition back to Argaius versus Commander Kree, and I wanted to play that little clip because we talked about Argaius and his motivations, but again, I like the way it contrasts against the clones and their sense of loyalty and their sense of duty. So you'll hear the tail end of the battle between Ventress and Ahsoka and Luminara, but it should go right into it after that. Some Force badness there.
Why'd you do it, Argaius?
A clone like you would never understand. I wanted a life with more than empty servitude.
And for that you'd betray the Republic.
Like I told the Padawan, sometimes being a good soldier means doing what you think is right.
That's Greed knocking out Argaius, but Gunray comes up behind him and clubs him. So this allows them to escape to the little cruiser that the Jedi had when they were boarding on the Republic cruiser. So at this point, everyone is making their escapes. This is the plan. Remember, this is the plan concocted by Dooku, by Ventress, and it's all gone extremely well, with the exception of the death of the Jedi, which has not happened. That is probably the one piece of the plan that has not come together. And, that is to be what it is to be. The Jedi are harder to kill than some might think. So I think the one part of the plan I thought was interesting was Ventress, obviously designed to keep the Jedi away from Gunray and Argaius as they make their escape aboard the Republic craft, the small Republic cruiser that the Jedi had, their little consular ship, I believe it is. And then Ventress is to use an escape pod to board with that ship. And that is exactly what happens. And I'm going to play the little bit here where they rendezvous with each other. Because if you didn't see this part coming, you haven't been paying attention to the dark side of the Force.
As successful a rescue as one could hope for, Viceroy. I'll be a legend for this.
I always had a good feeling about you, Captain.
You see? Assassin. Our plan went off without a hitch.
Our plan.
And I will, of course, make sure your contributions are noted in my report.
Don't go to Darksider. Don't go to Darksider. Oh! Because you get a lightsaber through the back.
I'll tell him myself.
Lightsaber right through the back. You knew that was coming.
Greetings, Viceroy.
I always had a good feeling about you, Assassin.
Alright, well now let's play this little epilogue as well.
I'm sorry that despicable wealth worm Gunray got away.
It's okay, Snips. I know you did your best.
Master,
Troubling is the treachery of the Senate Guard, Captain Argaius. Revealed all around us. Our enemies are.
I'm not sure all is lost. Gunray and his accomplices stole a Republic ship to make their getaway.
It could be tracked.
Indeed.
A coward Viceroy Gunray is, but powerful allies he has. Swiftly we must move, if we are to recapture him.
Master Fisto's fleet was near Gunray's position. I've already contacted him to follow the signal.
Ahsoka, I'll meet you at the rendezvous point.
Yes, Master. Master Luminara, I guess this is goodbye for now.
I owe you my life, Ahsoka.
Protecting a Jedi Master is the role of a Padawan.
And teaching is usually the role of the Master. Master Skywalker should be proud. Farewell.
Thank you, Master.
Commander, let's get underway.
Alright, yes. So there we go. That's how we wrap up this episode. Again, I think this one's a true gem. Ahsoka's a little bit, again, overconfident, brash, arrogant, but not necessarily to her detriment in this one. I think she sort of is on the side of right this time. Her actions, the only time I had problems with her actions is when she decides to be bad cop and take the lightsaber blade. And she does get rightly chastised for it, and I think she realizes that maybe she did go a tad too far. But her trusting her instincts, her familiarity with Ventress, aids Master Luminara, and as she said, saved her life. And that's an important aspect too. Ahsoka growing and developing is the key of the show. And it's been fun to go back and again rewatch this. I've said it a million times. It's fun to go back and rewatch this and see the evolution of her character and the way she develops and grows and learns. And we're not even to like those key episodes yet where like the big moments happen, where that overconfidence and that arrogance humbles her and forces her to learn and to grow and to change and become potentially the best Jedi of all the Jedi on this show. And I don't think I'm saying anything too out of turn with that remark, because you all know what's happening too. You all are aware. So that is Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. This episode is a rock solid 8. 8. I'm saying 8. It's a full 8. It's super good. And if 8 is the level for super good, that little margin of improvement I'm giving for the ones that are better than this, oh, just wait. This is a rock solid 8. This is by far the best episode so far of season 1. And yeah, we're just getting going. So I hope you all have enjoyed this look back at Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. I think I've said it 14 times already this week. I just like saying Cloak of Darkness. It's a great name for a Star Wars episode. It'd also be a really fun name for a super dank IPA, Cloak of Dankness. I'm sure someone's already made it. Anyways. All right. We'll be back. Mandovision will be back next week, or, well, no, next time, because remember, we're going twice a week. Bare minimum 2 episodes per week. Possibly 3 if there's news to break. So get ready. Keep your buckets strapped on. Like, don't even take them off anymore. Shower with them on. Sit in your bathtub with them on. Get the fancy straw so you can drink with them on. Just don't bother taking your bucket off. Leave your bucket on at all times. I would like it if you all would sleep with your buckets on. And go to the supermarket with your buckets on. That is the best way to live your life. Just a bucket-headed life. Again, thank you all so much for listening to Mando Vision. Remember, the best way to reach out to us is via social media. We're at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. There is an email, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Hit me up on that. And please, 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 please like, subscribe, share this show with all your friends, enemies, people you're in blood feuds with, people who maybe you're on their enemies list. Share it with them too. And if you're on Apple Podcast, if you have the time, the inclination, 5-star reviews are immensely helpful, and they help. They help small podcasts like us cheat that algorithm and get a little love from the algorithm, so that other people know to check this show out too. And there's a lot of great Star Wars content out there. We think we're pretty darn good, and we'd love to be in the mix for all that good stuff. So help spread the word for the show. I truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate all of you taking the time to listen to it now, and all the support I've been getting from everyone. I love engaging with people on the social media and the other various formats that I have encountered, people who have taken the time to listen to this show. So I thank you all so much. It means the world to me. I absolutely love talking about Star Wars with all of you, and yeah, we have a lot of good stuff coming up, because we are in the golden age of Star Wars now. It's never ever going away, and that's how it should be. We should have Star Wars for the rest of our days, and that's a good life. All right, let's close it out. I'll be back very, very soon. Remember, twice a week from here on out, minimum, at least until the Bad Batch, and then we might have to slow down again, but we'll see how it goes. All right, remember, there's only one way this podcast can end, and this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.